yes, at this point, allow me to welcome Madam Quresha to take us through and let us know how we can actually impact our organizations. Karibu, Madam.
Thank you so much, Grace. Good evening, everyone. If you can hear me, just give me thumbs up on the screen. Lovely, thank you. Every time I'm speaking, I hate to speak to people while my video is off. So you'll have to bear with me. I'm using two gadgets. So Kiona imesonga songa, just know that I am not in control. So I'm glad you can all hear me. And I'm very happy. First of all, thank you so much, Grace and the Atara Solutions team for having me tonight, even as we celebrate HR Month. As I share my screen, it is important that I tell you the history behind the HR Month for those of you who may not be familiar with it. So we celebrate HR Month. The founders of the Institute have found it deemed to get the space for HR professionals. If you recall, in the 80s, the 90s, the HR was just an admin role. It was just a support role, just when to write the checks, when to terminate. So they've come together and said, we need to make sure that this profession is regulated. And that idea was born in July 1986. They have used and mobilized their own resources to bring HR professionals together. A journey they started in July 1986. They saw the fruits in 2012 when the act was enacted. So for those of you who may not be from the HR practice, I wanted to share with you that the HR professional is a regulated profession in Kenya. So that is key to note. And also what our founders fought for is for us to have a seat on the table, but we need to go beyond that. So I have been introduced and I will jump in quickly to my presentation. And as I do that, when you hear the word innovation, just maybe on the chat, what comes to mind? Let's take 1 minute. Just type in the chat.
So we have Brenda who says a new way of doing things, new ideas, something fresh, new, different, coming up with a solution, invention, new way of doing things, improving existing processes, creativity, something new, creativity, new products, new innovation, creative thinker, thinking outside the box. There's a lot of creativity, new idea, doing things differently. Leah says innovation is coming up with new things in the system of the organization, re-engineering, creative thinking, doing it differently, doing things differently, doing the same thing in a different way, totally new thing, evolution, technology, out of the box ideas, better way of doing things. Oh my, yes. Quite a lot of new ideas and creativity, new technology, innovation. Somebody says new ideas and innovation. Well, value creation from Abraham Wekesa. Change from Mother Kageha. Right. Those are some of the samples of the answers we're getting.
Thank you. And if you see the common words, there was creativity, new ways of doing things, transformational, change. So now as an organization, and I always tell this, the HR professionals, it's important to know our place, yeah? And as HR professionals, we only have one thing to deliver for the organization, and that is to make it a successful organization, whether it's in business or in the public sector. Why do I say that? We are in charge of the human capital within the organization from hire to retire. So we are the ones who onboard, on behalf of the different departments. Then there's a cycle within the employee from the time of their entry all the way to when they exit, either through retirement or voluntary separation. Now, how can we support? Because remember, we are the policyholders of organizations. I would like to introduce a new word. We've been told the chief happiness officers, we've been told the business partners and all that. But tonight, I want you to consider yourself as the business directors within your institutions. And what that means is that you need to lead when it comes to business, re-engineering, and creating space. So how do we do that? Okay. As a HR, there are different ways you can become a champion. And one of them is, first of all, we've picked the words innovation and creativity. Allow me to just explain what each one means, yeah? So for creativity, is the process by which thoughts and ideas can be converted into a service, product, or a solution for which a client is willing to pay for, okay? So that is key to note. You actually convert your thoughts into something that can be appreciated by your clientele. And then the creativity, the word creativity is the way in which people come up with new ideas and unique ideas that can be turned into innovative solutions. So you allow people to be creative so that they can come up with innovative ideas. So what is the role of HR in all this? I
Madam
use the
Quresha,
word, yeah?
if you can play full presentation mode.
Sure.
You can play slideshow. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for picking on that. So I was just explaining what is the role of HR professionals in all this, yeah? So it is our responsibility as people who have been trusted with the human capital of an organization to turn business around, to make sure that we are able to cultivate the very culture that will promote and provide access to innovation and creativity within the organization. That is key. And plan for, we are known for team building, the end of year parties and all that. Don't leave out the the rest of the employees to have space for innovation. Now, what does that creating culture of innovation mean, yeah? So you need to encourage experimentation. You need to create that safe space to experiment with new ideas and also to learn from failure. So you must have within your organization what we call psychological safety, that no one is actually criticized for failing or even trying on something. You know, let me use simple words that when you're baking for the first time, it doesn't, and then now you want to start icing the cake and you want to perfection it, and you realize that later on it didn't come out the way it was supposed to come out. But the more you repeat, the more you get the solution you're looking for. So you must ensure that as you drive policies within your organizations, there is that psychological safety for ideas to come out from the different members within your employees. Another way of creating a culture of innovation is you need to develop collaboration. So how do you do this? Yeah, you have to make sure that there is a linkage between the different functions within the team. And this actually, you know, we say what is it that Grace has that she can contribute to the finance team? Or what is it that someone who is within the sales team can contribute to the rest of the management? So you have to make sure that there is that collaboration. You don't allow people to work in silos, and we will see that later. You allow them to share what is it that they are going through, what is it that they will need to see this organization go to. And that's how ideas flourish through teamwork. And then the third thing to look at is recognition and reward, yeah? You must have in place that for those who come out with innovative ideas, you need to appreciate and reward their efforts and celebrate their successes. So you could do this maybe just by recognizing them with a certificate, or even look within your reward system. Is there something in terms of even monetary appreciation for the team? And this encourages that people to like look onto for the next practice and what is it that they can innovate further. In my next slide, I would like to cover on matters, what are those strategies? We've talked about what is it that we need to do. So it's important that the HR invests in training and development. Most of the time you will see people, we take people for skills on HR analytics, some we take them how to be a better leader, so all those things. So we should also invest on trainings like creative thinking, problem solving skills, and even design thinking. So what it does is that you think outside the box. It's beyond the textbook mode of teaching. You learn about how do I become a creative thinker in line with the business at the time of that institution, whether it's a service delivery or a profit making industry. What are the problems that we have been created to solve as an institution? And you can only think beyond the box if you've been trained to be a creative thinker. And most of the time, we fail that. Recently, I was reading an article that we are having people who are very skilled, but they're not able to deliver, not because they have not gone through school, but the environment is not habitant enough for them to actually think through ideas and even share. So that is key. Then in terms of diversified and inclusive teams, this is something we take it for granted, and especially within our work environment. And I would like to bring this out that, there's something we resist, but we also need to accept there is a reason why we've been created with different colors, female and male. So our thinking is not the same, even the different communities that we have. So even as you recruit, make sure that within your teams, you have diversified backgrounds that can bring out the different perspectives to the innovation process. And this has been tested through research that institutions which promote diversity and inclusive teams are 3 times more profitable than institutions which don't address this. And especially for my viewers within Kenya, diversity and inclusive is protected within the Constitution of Kenya. And if only we followed Chapter 10 and 232 of the Constitution, you will realize. And that has made me refocus that indeed the reason why this was captured there is that we come from different regions, we come from different religions, we come in different colors, and we also have different level of education. That itself is inclusivity. We've been accused to be a country that looks more on the papers. And for the HRs in the house, you will tell me, and you know this, you see a CV, an A student, and when they come in front of you, they're not employable. So is it time for us to focus on what is it that the person has to offer than the papers they have? So that is diversity and inclusive when it comes to promoting and fostering innovation. Then embed innovation in performance management. It's key, even as you look at what is it that this person is supposed to deliver for the organization, you must have something within their KPIs that focuses on innovative idea. As you set, especially for those who their financial year is starting in July, as you set those KPIs, think through and challenge your teams to come up with one innovative idea that they can actually focus on in the next 6 months, whether the institution will invest in it or it's something that just needs for them to be given some time to focus on. And you need to track this. So that is also key. And you need to also look out and reward innovative behaviors. Sometimes it doesn't have to be on paper. Even as you put those policies in place, when you see someone is coming up with an innovative idea and has that innovative behavior, don't just limit them within the organization policies. Allow them to be free birds. And the focus here is for them to come up with solutions that specific industry they are supporting to deliver on. And that is also key, that reward and recognizing innovative behavior, you amplify, and by amplifying it, you get others also interested that, oh, I had this idea. If now the one for Quresha has been accepted and even turned into products. Sometimes I pause and look at when I go to the supermarket and I see the section for the mineral water, you will realize that now we even have lemon water, strawberry water, and I do not think someone just decided, let's put in the market lemon water. It must have been an innovative idea from someone within that team, and it has changed. It's been a game changer, and everyone is following within that industry to keep on coming up with different flavors. I forgot to ask Grace, what was the flavor of the tear gas you swallowed today? So that's on a lighter note. So from the strategies, let's now delve into developing innovation skills across all levels. Yeah, it is important that you don't undermine any innovation idea. Provide the resources, and the resources can be as simple as creating a room within the organization whereby someone can actually go in and think through ideas. Like you create that space that it's free, and it can even be like on the walls it doesn't have to be just a flip chart, just on the wall that I can start from this end to this end and write it on. Most of the time people think the resources you need to provide, while I know we are in a technological era, sometimes the technology is not the only thing that we need. There are some people who think through just a chalk or a felt pen and just need a large space to just bring the ideas and then now transfer it. And then you must have in place collaboration, design structures. You need to silos. You don't let, most of the organizations, what I see, you will see the marketing competing against the sales team, or for every department that is tasked on a certain item, at the end of the year, the comparison is what is it that department A did better than department B, and it becomes a competition. So we need to silos that and promote sharing of ideas, because we've said haba na haba hujaza kibaba. For those of you who don't know Kiswahili, is when we bring ideas together, then it can turn out to something very beautiful. And the ecosystem we are in right now, and something that when COVID came, we all learned, there was no longer about competition, but collaboration within different industries, even those who are supplying the same commodities. So why not create that collaborative working environment, which is conducive for everyone to thrive? Then the other thing is the inculcation of the growth mindset, okay? Here, remember I've talked about from the hiring. In between, while we know at some point you will lose employees either to your competitor or some may fall back to private practice, but do not discourage people to be innovative. Just help them with that growth mindset that they can actually be better than what brought them here. Okay, I could have come in just as a project officer, but in the process, I've learned skills that can actually put me into a different position. And you can do that when you allow people to take risks. Yeah. allow people to get out of their comfort zone and say it's okay, because we need to see what this can develop. And sometimes you will realize that I have the idea, I can actually speak to it, but you need someone within the team to put it into perspective. You know, just like the way when you're going to, let me use this example, that when you're trying to identify someone, and then there's someone on the other side, as you describe, they are drawing it. So as you share your ideas, there are those people who can actually put it into reality. And now that becomes a team celebration. And that is the growth mindset we are talking about. That I know about this. It's coming out clearly from my mind, but I need someone who can actually put it into perspective. And when you allow people to take risks, you actually support the institution to just diversify their products, okay? Sometimes with the biggest mistake we make, and this is something that the HR professionals, especially when you're doing the strategic plan, you need to guide your institutions, is that we're just focused on a short term. We need to know that if plan A does not work, what will be plan B? Or even as we work on this plan A to its full success, what is it that, what else can we do that is in line within that business? And I'm sure you've seen the most successful businesses in Kenya right now. They have started maybe just with soap making, and right now they are within the industry because they saw the need and they keep on diversifying. So that is the growth mindset we're talking about. So don't just limit people, just let them learn and make the learning a lifelong. Then I talked about experimentation, but this one now I want to bring in the technology a bit. Even as we try and innovate, most of the times I have started on that note so that we don't just limit innovation to just technology, okay? So you need to now also ensure that you leverage on technology to support these collaboration ideas, and you need to put in place tools for innovation management. So what I'm talking about is that it is key that we are able to make use of technology, because remember now we're becoming a global village, and make sure you make your institutions learning institutions. When I say learning institutions, is that you need to be visited, not just within the country, but even global. They need to know what is it that you're doing differently that is working for you. And I don't want to use the word benchmarking, but for them to come and learn what are the best practices. And one of them is putting that innovation management, whereby for every idea, and even as you do that, please don't forget, if it's a big idea, don't forget to patent it within the institution. Yeah. So that is how you develop those skills across all levels. So before I conclude, I also wanted to share, because remember, this, as when we become champions as HR professionals, it's not something that we're not reinventing the wheel. And I wanted to share some success stories, which you may be, I'm sure all of you are familiar with. Within Google, they have the 20% policy, whereby you're allowed to spend 20% of your time with projects of your own selection. And many of them have become revolutionary innovations. Yeah. For example, when Google started, they didn't have Gmail. And I'm sure today, for most of us who are out there, Google Maps came in handy to see which area is risky. And I was very impressed. Actually, now they're not just showing traffic, they alert you on where there are risks. So that is how far we've put the country in the maps of the world. I don't know if it's for a good reason or a bad reason, but I was able to navigate to know which areas to avoid as I was heading home. And that was a Google employee's innovation. It's not Google sat somewhere and said, we need to come up with the Google Maps. And over the time, it has perfected. And for those of you who live in gated communities, it's no longer about the road. Actually, when the minute you put your PIN, if you're using the online taxis, they come to the right where you've put the PIN, at the door and pick you from there. Then we have the 3M's innovation culture. 3M, I think for those of us who are trained typists, before we went to HR, so 3M was a very famous company and still is. And they allow 15% of work time for innovation. And I'm sure if you are at your office, all of us, although now we have Post-it on our phones, they've been very famous. First, they came out with yellow colors, and now they've become very fancy, and we get them in all colors. So that was also an innovation by an employee within 3Ms. And because they allowed the time, yeah, it's not like someone just felt it's fun to do, but they said, we're allowing you to innovate. And also, it's proven, and I've shared this before, companies that have innovation culture are 3.5 times more likely to outperform their peers. And Grace, I always tell people this, yeah? You do not need to be in profit-making industry for you to make a change. I have worked in the non-governmental organizations before, and most of the innovations, especially where areas that we were not able to access, were developed by employees, although mostly was technology driven. And it helped us serve our clientele better. Look at now close our country, the e-citizen. I know when we were told, all of us, to move to e-citizen, there was a lot of resistance. But at one point, nobody stopped and thought that when we started with the passport, our lives became seamless, especially for those of us who are not in Nairobi or where the passports units are. We could upload now all our documents and wait to receive notification that you come for the interviews through online. Before, I remember when I was in Garissa, we will come, apply, I will spend money in a hotel, go to a Nyayo house, spend there like the whole day, don't get service, go back the next day. But now, because someone sat somewhere and came up with the idea of e-citizen, and when you hear his story, it's very inspiring. He is a Kenyan. When he came up with that app, it was not like he was up there. He was just someone experimenting on how can he improve on the service delivery. So I am sharing all this is, as HR professionals, you will see we have the M-Pesa, the M-Shwari, a lot of game changers within even closer home, that now we even have DigiFarm. This app actually, it does not only give farmers access to financial services, but it also connects you to markets. You know, before we could have a lot of our fresh produce get spoiled, but now you see mama mbogas just on the tap, whether they are borrowing from M-Shwari or they're selling through DigiFarm. So Grace and the rest of the team, you will see that we can do a lot as HR professionals, and we just need to make sure that we embed this in policies. And as I conclude, I want to share with you what is it that now, as you live here, what are some of the just 3 actionable things that you can embark on as early as tomorrow, okay? Make innovation a core value and let it be part of all your HR practices and processes. If you have a strategy in place, just make sure that you say, now I want us to introduce a culture of innovation and see how can we improve. And this stops with leadership. And as HR professionals, you know, I always say HR are always, you're the judges and the jury. So you have to do what is right for the employee and also what is right at the employer. And the only way you can do is, even as you create that space, you have to make sure that it's anchored somewhere in a process or a policy. It can just be one pager. You don't have to go and like say, I'm going to rewrite the strategic plan. Then you need to empower your people. And when I say your people, make sure they have access to the right tools, resources, and freedom to innovate. Do not limit them, okay? Make sure they have that space. Because remember, all of you have one goal, and that goal is how can you make your organization better? How can you put your organization in the map for everything they're delivering? They are known for it, okay? And then you need to measure and recognize innovation. Develop some matrices to track innovation, and you need to include innovative contributions from your employees. I know, I'm sure Grace has one hosted Daktari Francis Kangure. At RTI, they have this project whereby every year they allow their employees to come up with innovative idea. And I think our country was a beneficiary. Kangure won in that innovative space, and he has done a research within the renewable green energy, which actually it was more focused on HR professionals. I'm bringing that up so that we don't feel that innovation is just about coming up with an app or coming up with a technological solution. It can be something that's bigger, that your institution can invest in that community or in that country where they work as way of their CSR. So don't limit your employees. And finally, Madam Grace, I have a video, just I hope when I play, it will be audible enough. It's just 47 seconds, and I hope you will be able to hear and just listen with me. For all of you, you know the story of Mark, and in terms of Facebook, how he started, but I want you to hear from his own words. Allow me to play the video. I hope you can hear. Give me thumbs up if you hear.
I also can't hear, but I'm seeing some people saying, yeah, quite a number of people we can't hear. Quresha, we don't have volume.
Oh, we don't have volume?
No.
Let me just increase and try and play. It's just 40. And now? Any thumbs up?
No, no sound. Yeah, we are just reading the captions, no sound.
It will make different if you listen. So let me try and see. Bear with me. Bear with
That's
me
okay.
just a minute. I think I
Share
know where the
computer audio.
Yeah, I think I know where the problem is. Just let me see if I can play on the computer.
Town? I don't know how to get 1 million people involved in anything. Well, let me tell you a secret. No one does when they begin. Ideas don't come out fully formed. They only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started. If I had to know everything about connecting people before I got started, I never would have built Facebook. Movies and pop culture just get this all wrong. The idea of a single eureka moment is a dangerous lie. It makes us feel inadequate because we feel like we haven't had ours yet. And it prevents people with seeds of good ideas from ever getting started in the first place.
Thank you, Grace. And why I shared that specific video was just to make you see that you don't have to know everything. And you know, when you are Like when you look at the things we do on Facebook through Mchanga, or we just put something up that we are fundraising for someone, or we want to build a dam somewhere. So he's very clear. He said he doesn't know how to do that, but he came up with Facebook that is doing that for him. And also something very key to pick from that is that if he knew how to connect people, then he would not have even bothered to come up with Facebook in the first place. So for you to be innovative, it doesn't just have to be improving on something that is already there. It also means that you have to be, what is the problem? Like you need to know what is it that we are facing right now, and do I have the solutions? So at that point, Grace, allow me to end here and also take, you see this gentleman waving here. 3 months ago, he told me, you know, when every time people talk about Gen Zs, 3 months ago, he told his sister that because he knows all the answers, she should just take the pencil and write on his behalf. And when I told him, she cannot do that, he said, but I am telling her the answers. She just needs to write down. And he went ahead and said, I think they need to invest a machine that will do my homework for me. And he even drew it. He said, I will just tell her all the answers. I put on the book and then it writes for me. He's 5 years old. So what stops us to champion within our workplaces? Thank you, Grace, and thank you, everyone. Over to you, and I'm now ready for questions.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for challenging our thinking. Thank you for just reminding us that some of these things are actually part of us. And you know, sometimes I think as HRs, we actually leave innovation to the R&D department, not realize that we have a huge part to play, except just waiting for the performance reviews to ask the creative team or the creative department how much of creativity they have been able to achieve in the last 3 months. So thank you very much for that wonderful, wonderful presentation. And you are an amazing speaker, madam. You need to be called for speaking slots. You guys, you need to invite Madam Quresha for your speaking slots to share her wisdom and also out of the box thinking that she has. But just to read, as you type in your question on the Q&A, just to read some comments. There's Millicent Madara who said, some examples of HR innovation are the digital workplace, automated HR, and HR analytics. Rebecca said, use technology and support collaboration and ideas. We also have something from Seboa. Where is Juliet's comment? I think that was amazing. I think I've lost it. Just 1 minute. It was before we started saying no sound. Brian, Grace should use to avoid. Yeah. Where is that? So innovation is the spotlight and remains backbone of HR. Where is that comment by Juliet Seboa? My sister from Uganda, where is your comment? Jennifer, rather, not Juliet. Creating safe spaces for innovation is key for me, and then measure and reward it. I think part of how we form culture is also to create innovation spaces and allow people to innovate. Wow, wonderful presentation. And I'm glad my boss is embracing innovation and DEI. That is from Shamim. And then it hasn't been easy though, but through my insights, he has. All right. Wonderful presentation. Awesome presentation. Wow. So thank you. I think those are some of the comments that have been coming through. And I think we are reminded, and as we celebrate HR month, I think you ought to reflect and ask yourself, what exactly are you doing? But Madam Quresha, we have this situation where some organizations don't allow innovation. Every time you bring up an idea, they shut it. So what do you think we should do, or how can HR professionals who are in such organizations do to support, or rather to be creative, or rather to be innovative in their organizations?
Thank you so much, Grace. As when I started, I said sometimes there are some organizations which are rigid, and how you start is first of all you need to get the buy-in of the leadership. And I have realized, and I've said this every time we want to do new things, unless you have trained people, especially the leadership, and you have shown like there's some sort of change management, then you will hit a rock bottom. So the best way to handle that is, first of all, when you are pitching, you have to show the benefits that it has for the organization. And I think I've been vocal enough to say whether it's a for-profit, not for-profit, or service delivery in the public service, you need to show what is in it for the organization, even if it's going to save either on cost or time or resources. Most of the time, innovation, it's not just a fancy item. It's either generating revenue, or you're saving on cost, or you're saving on time or resources within the institution. And the best place to start is use what is within the institution first. Show that innovation is possible without incurring any cost. So show what you have, like make use of the tools and the resources you have right now. And then anchor it in a policy or a procedure, just one pager. Because what people will not, especially within an institution, you will not want to have a situation whereby you're having different innovations, yeah? Then have a theme, like say this year, this is what we would like to improve on. Or have people in a group, like I've said, that collaboration, and allow them to come up with that idea that this year all of us will need to focus on or support Quresha to deliver, because was her idea. So the bottom line is get the buy-in of the leadership, make sure it's anchored somewhere in the policy. You can start small. They don't have to incur any cost, and also show clearly that I have shared the statistics is out there. Innovation, it only elevates the institution within the community, whether it's going to be a CSR project or diversifying the products within the institution. So you're only increasing your market share within that institution, or even improving on the service delivery for that specific industry. So as a HR professional and as a champion of change, and also as someone who represents the interest of the organization and a foundation for the organization, just make sure you get the buy and create that psychological safety. When I talked about it, I said it's important that people feel safe to share their ideas, and even bringing it out that when you are within an organization, whatever it is, because remember, you could say this organization has not invested in terms of money, but if you've said you're going to slate time and from your working hours, then it means you are already doing that innovation within your paid up time. So Grace, it's just pushing it, and ask again and ask again, never give up. And even behind the scenes, have a very agile team that can actually work on something and present it to the leadership. Sometimes you don't even have to seek that approval. I tell people, make those mistakes if they're for right ones. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, Madam Quresha. I think I speak for quite a number of the team here, because sometimes it becomes really difficult. But so on training and development, how is it that we can innovate? What are some of the ways we can embrace innovation, especially in places where you're not allowed to? I was interacting with the HR professional yesterday who told me that the organization cannot allow you to attend training unless you take leave, and that leave is only specified. Like you take a Saturday leave, or you wait for December for those about 7 days. Otherwise, in between the year, you just have to take one day. So it can never be training, like you attend a 2-day training or whatever training opportunities are there. So how can we innovate when it comes to learning and development?
Thank you, Grace. And I think it's unfortunate that at this age and era, we have institutions who don't see the value of training and development. And I'm sure if those who ask you, if they look within their organizations, they will see that they actually have a huge gap. Now, let's focus on the employees in terms of how can they be innovative. Grace, nowadays, we at the disposal of technology, we have several sites which offer free trainings, some of them the Ivy League institutions. And right now, there are times that as individuals, maybe we could not able to afford data. And this is not a paid up advert, but I've realized when you look at fiber before they had that modem, but now they have a SIM card that for those of us who use double SIM card, you can use. And just look around what is happening within. Because Grace, I actually want to issue a disclaimer here. You cannot force someone who does not want to innovate. So if the institution does not see the value, then let's help as HR professionals for those individuals to invest in themselves, can come up with a list of all the free forums that they can do online. There are some of them, they can even do it from home. Some of them, you do it on your way home. Nowadays, you have the earphones, you even have your lunch hours. So as an individual now, that is where your focus is. And while I'm not encouraging people to sabotage their employers, it's also key to note that if you've shared a proposal and tell them that for us to invest in training and development, this is the return on investment that we will expect, or this is what we will get out of it in turn, then be selfish and be deliberate and help the employees invest on themselves, because you have to create that engagement that you help the employee to be better, to deliver for the institution first, and also to help themselves. And I'm sure anyone who is running a business right now, we allocate millions to trainings. And unless you want to be kicked out of the market, then I do not see why we should not continue pushing for as HR professionals that space. And even look at most of the, we are guided as a country. Yes, we have the organizational policies, we have the global policies for those of us who work for multinationals, but don't forget the pay setter is the public service, yeah? And public service does not only support training and development, but they even give unpaid leave for those who want to go for masters, a year, 2 years. So why don't we just inculcate the country's policies to our places of work? So maybe they're not aware that this is what needs to be talked about. And then nobody will want to do away with an idea. So we want to make sure that we bring the best out of everyone. So let's not give up. Let's continue preaching the gospel, especially to the HR professionals. And let's make sure that every time we have a chance, we are speaking for the employees, because we need to stand for the employees, because remember, we are in charge. And there's a reason why training and development is one of the wheels of the 8 things that we need to do as HR professionals. So speak to it more until you get that buy-in. Thank you.
Somebody is saying there was a time I talked of new ideas and I was told, wewe wacha kutusumbua, especially in some of these some of these government, yeah.
Yeah, actually the key word there is utachoka tu, utaenda umetupata hapa. So I have seen it. So, but I think we are evolving. So I can relate to that. It's not far-fetched, but I can tell you the public service, the transformation that is happening now, they have a unit, things will not be the same. And I've also realized that there's a lot of disjointments, and I'll make sure that at least we preach as IHRM and bring the HR society closer, both the public and the private, and also be the voice because most of the time we don't only speak for ourselves, as HR professionals, but we also speak for the employees. So we will support you as IHRM to make sure that your voices are heard and you get those trainings. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you very much for that wonderful. I think we can be here the entire time.
Naona mkono mbili ziko juu. I don't know whose hands are those.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Editor Mamroso Minor. I don't know whether you wanted to ask a question or why your hand is up. If you want to ask a question, please go. Okay, Irene Odhiambo. I don't know whether you wanted to ask anything. Irene Odhiambo. Your hand is up, Irene Odhiambo. Okay, if you wanted to speak, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Madam Quresha, do we have HR welfare unit within IHRM that is for the members? We are now digressing.
Thank you so much. No, actually, it's a good question, because remember I said I'm here for the welfare of the profession. Leah will share if maybe I will share it myself. We don't have within the institution, but we have a HR circle which is run by the members. So if you visit our website, you will see what we call the Huduma Circle. And what we want them to do is actually diversify and have matters welfare within that HR circle. It's not been, the uptake has been very low, but I think I've said it before, it's time for us to create our own community as HR professionals, and we can only do that through our welfare unit. Thank you, but please visit our website. You will find HR Huduma Service Circle, and they have different products. Thank you.
All right, there's somebody who's saying, kindly support us also in coming up with salary structures for the profession.
Thank you, that is noted. And by the way, just to share, we've had a conversation with one of the members yesterday that we need to come up with a salary reward and recognition survey focused just to the HR professionals, not touching on any other position, so that we know from the entry level all the way to the director, what is the market offering, both private and public, and have that information to support us even as we negotiate. And remember now, this is a regulated profession, and we must make sure that we make the best out of ourselves. And thank you so much. His name is Simon. He approached me yesterday. His ideas were great. And I'm not sure if you've heard it already, but the discussions are underway. And Grace, my plea is for the HR professionals here who are influencers. When we start administering those surveys and collecting data, we are doing it for the benefit of the profession. Please support us. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that input. I think I'm just trying to get, I don't know why my comment section today is just misbehaving. I had a very good team that innovated a number of HR systems. Where is that now? And then only for the boss to impose some developers and my team gave up. I have never gone that again. Anyway, yeah. Joyce Mwangi, you wanted to make a comment. You raised your hand and then you put it down. If you can raise it again, I will give you whatever to speak. Joyce Mwangi, you can raise your hand. You raised it and then you put it down. So I'm not able to find you. Okay, there you go. Please unmute and make your comments.
Thank you for giving me a chance, and thank you to the Quresha for giving us such an informed talk. I just wanted to comment on those guys who said that they are not able to make any innovation in their companies. I wanted to just say, start small and involve the rest of the people so that it's not a HR innovation only. pull the team to make ideas so that even when you're presenting, there is buying in from other people. That is what I have seen working. There are many companies that are not willing to come up with any new ideas, but the moment you involve people, especially the Gen Zs, everyone else then owns up the innovative idea. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that contribution, Madam Joyce. We appreciate your input. We could consider also having medics in HR as an HR innovation to cater for all medical concerns in the corporate organizations. Advocate for payment for non-practicing allowance for HR professionals. Okay, all right. All right, thank you very much for your input as well. And allow me to just request Madam Quresha to make her parting shots. Give us your quotable quotes.
Thank you so much. This is HR Month. I would like to appreciate everyone who has joined us for this session. And our theme this year is focused on creative leadership. Please plug in, invite us to your institutions. We are doing free career talks. I could replicate for those of you who are having issues within your organizations, we could replicate this presentation, but also my request to everyone who is in leadership position and a position of influence, please consider in creating conducive and thriving environment. It doesn't mean that you are going to live one day, but what is it that when that day comes, how many people will look back and say, when Quresha was here, that is when inclusivity and diversity policy was passed through. And every time I look through, I always challenge myself, and Grace, I speak for myself, that very few Qureshas are within this industry. Give us chance. Now I speak for the community. I have the mic Grace gave me, so it's not my problem. But also inclusivity from Gen Zs to millennials, like what is it that we are not getting right within our spaces of work? Are we allowing innovation, or are we innovative enough as industries to allow people to even exit early to give chance to the youth that we see on our streets? The responsibility is on us. I know many of you will look at the government, but sometimes I ask people, who is the government? Okay, so who is the government? We have given people that sovereignty power over us, but we influence policies. And if we are not supportive enough, then we may not be able to see the end of what we are seeing right now. Let's all play our parts. Let's be truthful to ourselves. And let's remember, this is the only country we have. Let's give ourselves chance and let's take advantage of our positions to make Kenya a better place. Asanteni sana.
Thank you for that and for challenging our thinking, Madam Quresha. And Dolin is saying, in hotel industry, what are those HR innovative strategies that can be implemented? I think Quresha has really spoken to what all of us can do in a general way. And I think all those things are applicable even in hotel industry. In case you came in late, we have a recording for this session and you can catch up with that later. In terms of hotel industry, from learning and development to institutionalizing innovation as part of culture, among others, are what Madam Quresha has spoken about. So you can review the recording and you'll be able to catch on what innovative ways that can be applied. So we are so happy. Thank you, Madam Quresha, for that wonderful session. And I look forward to more engagements with you and to tapping into your wisdom. You have really challenged us. Somebody says, ukombozi itafikia public sector one day. Well. So thank you very much. And you're welcome. I see. Thank you for inviting Madam Quresha. Of course, it's always a pleasure to bringing wonderful speakers always here. to also just share with us. All right, so thank you very much for joining us, and I look forward to having you next Tuesday. Please make sure you join us. Thank Madam President Kenya from HR Mao, Uganda. Thank you very much. She has had you. Uganda says good evening, Madam Quresha, and that is from yes. So allow us to just welcome you to the session that's happening on the 8th of August, where we'll be discussing the contracts for employees. Join us. It's a paid webinar, which is just going for 2,800. And it's going to be a wonderful session where you get to sign up for your line managers, sign up for your directors, by the way. Sometimes those business owners, the CEOs, really need to understand what you're talking about when you're dealing with some of these legal matters, and it's important that you sign them up for this session. It's a virtual session, so you can join us from anywhere. Brian, Musisi, and the Uganda family, if you guys are managing people in Kenya, it's also about time that you joined that webinar because it will be open to all. For that to happen. Of course, again, join the Africa Human Resource Summit that's taking place in Kigali, Rwanda, from the 21st to 23rd of August. Come network with fellow professionals from Africa and get to learn as well as much as possible. And of course, you're tuned in to Get It Right with Atara Solutions. And we do this every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And this is a program brought to you by Atara Solutions. Atara Solutions is a HR consulting and training company. If you have of an organization that does not need a full-time HR, then you can refer us to them. If you're looking for training and development programs, you can also get in touch with us, and we'll be able to support you on that. And of course, if you're looking for consultants to update your to carry out your HR audits, update or review your policies, among other HR consultancy works, then we will be able to do that for you. So thank you very much for joining us, Madam Quresha. Always a pleasure. To you, Catherine Sidandi, asante sana. You are wonderful and doing an amazing job. And to you, our audience, we cannot do this without you. So we really are honored and appreciate that you could be here to be with us here. And somebody says, Grace be blessed to manage to hear Joyce Mwangi. She introduced me to HR practice and never met her again. So Joyce Mwangi, you have a fan. That is from Rebecca, and that is amazing to hear. And of course, please follow us on Instagram. Our page is Atara Solutions. Like our Facebook page, Atara Solutions. Follow us on Instagram, Atara Solutions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Get It Right with Atara Solutions. And of course, join our WhatsApp group, which is Get It Right 3.0. Allow me to just share with you the WhatsApp group link so you can join us to be updated, especially for those who are joining us for the first time. You get to know what's coming up on Atara Solutions every Tuesday. And this month we are dedicating it to HR. And therefore, most of our conversations will be revolving around the human resource profession. And that way, then we can get to also have impact into the profession. So thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure. See you next Tuesday, same time, same place. By the way, there are earth traumas in Kenya today. I don't know. You need to catch up. If you had your world shake a bit, you're safe. They're not coming to you for you. It was a passing cloud. So asanteni sana, and see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. As always, I'm your host, Grace Nzula, and always a pleasure. Have yourselves a good night.